tonight we're going to meet his sister. She owned a 144-acre horse ranch, a big home, an airplane, and even more. A lifestyle that was fit for a queen. This queen happened, though, to be the queen of meth. She has spent most of the last 20 years in prison. She was convicted because of selling methamphetamine. She was a major supplier, making $200,000 or more a week. Please welcome Tom Arnold's sister, Lori Arnold. Lori, hi. Thanks for joining us. Now, I'm gonna read you a quote that you have said and sort of have you react to it. You said the following, quote, "I probably ruined a few lives. Sometimes I feel guilty. But I made millions of dollars, and I had a blast doing it." Can you respond to that?
Well, that was kind of taken a little out of context. I had some fun during those years, yes. I'm not going to lie and say that I wasn't having a good time. And I made money, but there was a lot more into it. There was a lot more involved in the whole business and everything, what brought it, up to doing it, and, the prison time and everything else. So, yeah, of course I had fun. You have fun when you do drugs. That's why you do them.
Well, now, as with many drug addicts, you had a real traumatic history. Apparently, you were married at 15. Is that right?
Yeah, my first time. Yes.
First time. And you and Tom have the same mom, same dad.
Yes.
I mean, you have the same dad
both.
also.
Same mom, same dad.
Okay.
Yes.
Because you're just like Tom. Your mom was married multiple times, and he had some issues around that. And anybody that's getting married at 15,
times.
right? And anybody that's married at 15 is running away from something, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was kind of forced into getting married at that age. My parents were trying to, or my mom and my stepdad were trying to force my first husband into either marrying me, dropping me, or going to jail for statutory rape, because I was 15, he was 23. So he called their bluff and said, "Okay, we'll get married." So.
Wow. Yeah. And then he turned out to be an abuser. He beat you. Did you have a similar history as Tom did in terms of having had sexual abuse as well?
No, I didn't have any sexual abuse growing up. The only abuse I had was from my husbands. I was married 4 times. 2 of my husbands cheated on me. 2 of my husbands beat on me. 2 of my husbands are dead right now, but I wasn't.
All right. So you became a drug addict, and then you became a supplier. And here's the thing for me. I mean, you were one of the cornerstone sort of distribution system for the methamphetamine epidemic of that period of history. Don't you feel bad about that?
Well, I didn't think I was. It didn't seem like it was like that. Back in the 80s when we started, in 85, we started out very small. It was more to get a little bit of extra money just to put food on the table, because we had $144 a week to live on. So when I got the opportunity to make a little extra money, I jumped on it. It didn't make, to me, it was just speed. I'm selling speed to people that wanted it. I wasn't trying to force it on anyone. And when we did it, we all felt good. It was great. Everybody was happy. Everybody was doing things. Their bored life was, everything were kicking up in Tumwa, Iowa, and, around my type of friends and things like that. Our age group. I was, 25 years old. I was still a kid. Never experienced meth before. So it was just something new and different, and it made everybody feel good and happy, and and that's what the whole thing was. We were just out to try to have fun, and it grew and it grew because everybody was having fun. We were laughing. It was party time all the time. It wasn't meant to be anything to get anybody hurt. We weren't planning on hurting anybody. We didn't want anybody to be hurt. We weren't trying to neglect our kids, or it wasn't meant to be that way. It was just a big party.
I understand that you didn't set out to do all those things, but you ended up doing all those things. You ended up hurting people and neglecting kids and ruining marriages. I mean, no drug addict starts drugs because they expect to be down and out on the street, and nor did you, of course, start distributing drugs for that. But you did do that, and don't you feel bad about that?
Oh, I feel terrible about it, especially with the kids. You bet. Yes, I still feel bad for the kids. I mean, my son especially, my son Josh. I feel bad about what he had to go through.
And you spent time in prison, but yet you still talk about that time with a sense of romance and sort of glee.
No, it wasn't. It's not. When the articles come out, it's how the people write them. it's not exactly how I feel. Sometimes they glamorize things for magazines or for books or whatever.
But
no,
Lori,
I feel
I'm going to
terrible.
give you the chance to convince me. I just heard you describe it with romance and glee. So convince me that's not how you're feeling. How are you feeling?
Well, how I felt back then, now we're talking over 20 years ago. Yeah, I thought it was, I was popular. It was a power trip, I was on top of the world, it was that type of thing when I was doing it. And now, after looking back, I feel terrible about the kids, and I get comments and say, you ruined my parents' life, you ruined my life, and things like that. I feel bad for what my son went through. Yeah, it's terrible. And I never wanted to be a drug dealer. I never planned to be a drug dealer. Nobody grows up saying I want to be a drug dealer when I grow up. It wasn't meant to be that way. It just happens.
Okay,
as an addict,
I want to welcome to the program Shelley Sprague. She is an important professional to work with in my life, and she, of course, you know her from the VH1 Celebrity Rehab. She's the runs the unit on that program at that unit. You see what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I see a disconnect between what she's describing and going to prison behind, and how her affect is in describing.
It seems gleeful. It seems gleeful.
It seems very disconnected from the reality of the situation, which I think ultimately a lot of times that's what drugs do. Is they take you out of the reality. The denial takes you out of the reality of the situation.
Well, let me ask you this, Lori. Are you using now?
No, not at all.
You don't use any substances of any kind? Are you in a recovery program?
No, I haven't used since I was in prison in 2001.
Haven't used since I was in prison. That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, I've been out of prison for a while, so I don't use. I put myself through a drug rehabilitation program while in prison.
Okay.
To find out why I was doing what I was doing, why I didn't have, emotional distance, because just like you said, it doesn't seem like I'm regretful, remorseful, whatever. And I am, but I don't show emotions. I've learned to block those out years ago when I was getting beat up and when I had to do things, live on the streets by myself and take care of myself. So I don't show a lot of emotions, and that seems to be a problem for a lot of people because I don't. But that's how I am. So I put myself through drug rehab to find out why.
Yeah, but it puts you at risk for relapse when you're disconnected from your emotions, because they're still there. You're just not expressing, you're not connected to them. And that's what Shelley's picking up on. But what makes people very frustrated, I'm sure, is the lack of contrition. You don't seem very remorseful of having done something that no doubt impacted maybe tens of thousands of lives with a drug that is deadly. I'm just saying.